Hey, what's up guys, it's JoePCool14 here, and welcome back to episode 2 of my F1 22 My Team Career Mode Let's Play series at Great Lakes Racing. I'm really excited that we actually made this to a part 2, and this time we're actually going to be getting to not only qualifying, but also the first Grand Prix of the season. So, pretty excited for that. It's been an interesting episode. Some good things happen, some not so good things happen. The game's updated a couple times, so some of the bugs that we mentioned in the first episode have thankfully been resolved. Really happy about that. Otherwise, really excited to get this going, so we're going to hop straight in here. We're just kind of running through the menus real quick, just seeing. You can see the performance chart again there. Our components, the standings. Of course, there's no standings because we haven't had a race yet. But yeah, otherwise we're just going to jump straight in actually to FP2. Now, normally on these episodes, I'm not going to be planning to show a whole lot of practice, but since this is the first Grand Prix of the series, the first time I've ever done this, I figured, you know what, we can take some time to actually show this stuff, show the practice programs, and just show some of the laps in practice. So,
there'll be a lack of rubber out on track, so take it easy for the first couple of laps.
So with that, we are going to jump straight into the first of 3 practice programs, and this time it's going to be the track acclimatization, which if you're not familiar with, it's basically you drive through track gates at each corner. You got to maintain speed, hit them well, you got to hit the DRS zones, and you score points. But on our warm-up lap, we do have a little bit of a moment with the tires being a little cool. That's something I'm still trying to get used to in this game, is just the tire warm-up. It does take some time compared to previous games, which is in the real life sport as well. So
We're approaching the DRS zone. Watch your MFD for the activation point.
So it's fairly accurate. So anyways, we can see now we're on our first lap, which goes pretty well, honestly. We only had 2 not perfect corners. We nailed all the DRS zones.
Great stuff, mate. You've pretty much nailed this circuit. This is a really strong foundation to build from over the course of the weekend.
And honestly, what Mark said, pretty accurate. I mean, we pretty much did nail it. We did do a second lap because we need to get kind of the full resource points. That's basically the whole point of doing these practice programs, is to get resource points. So even though I won't be showing them probably as much in the future, I'm going to keep doing them because, well, for one, it helps me to practice the circuit. And then, more importantly, we actually get resource points. And that will help us to develop the car. So, we're already gone to the second program here, and this is going to be the Energy Recovery System Management, or ERS Management. Thankfully, as I mentioned, we've had some patches to the game, so the practice programs are actually reasonable now. They're not just insanely hard, even on lower difficulties, which is really good. So we actually managed to do a pretty good job on this one. As you can see, we're quickly into the purple sector of this practice program. We shave over a second off our previous time.
And a job well done. We got some excellent data with that run, so come on back to the garage and I can take you through the numbers.
And we only need to do that 1 lap for that program. We nailed it on the first try, so really happy about that. Here's just the graph that shows kind of the data of exactly where we kind of lost some. I mean, pretty much where we went down was just where we used the ERS, so I think that went pretty well. So anyway, beyond that, we do throw it right into the final.
Okay, give us some good, consistent laps, please. We're looking for good data that we can work into a race strategy.
I honestly forgot that I let Mark speak this much, but thank you, Mark. You're a solid new race engineer. Anyway, this is the race strategy program, and here we're just trying to throw down some lap times that are fairly representative for the race scenario. I chose to do this on the soft tires. It's not the recommendation, but I nailed that. We just did 3 laps to complete the requirement and went fine. And in the end, I believe we just missed that 1 development boost. That's the other thing you get for completing the practice programs. So we did not take care of that in this one. However, we do have FP3, and we'll get to that in just a moment.
The session has drawn to a close, so let's review our top 3. Verstappen, Sainz, and Sergio Perez. What an incredible practice session that was. But the fun doesn't stop here though. Join us again as the rest of the weekend unfolds.
So yeah, we end up with a Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull top three with Hamilton coming in P4, the Charles Leclerc and Bottas following them. Aitken and I just outside the top 10, outside of Q3 range, or I should say Q1 range. So not too bad. I think that's pretty appropriate for where our car is. So quickly now we're going to get into FP3, which we're going to do just a quick practice because, as I said, we only need to get this one development boost and then we've done perfect for all the practices, and this is the easiest, fastest way to do it. So you kind of do as many as you can in the actual sessions, and then I tend to use the third one just for finishing up a little bit of things that I may not want to do. But I can't leave them all for once because I would never get all the points. So that's simply lovely. So we're just kind of running through our results from practice. You can see all these boosts giving us discounts, as well as our resource point tallies, and then our team acclaim, which we do make some ground on that. It's kind of funny that you make ground on acclaim in practice. I guess it technically makes sense, but just something interesting. So anyway, here's some remarks from Mark about the Bahrain circuit. And now we're going to head straight into qualifying. Mechanic's doing a brilliant job there. We're going to head straight out on track, actually, for our warm-up lap, of course, on the soft tire. Since that Q2 tire rule is gone, all runs in qualifying in the dry are done on the soft tire. There's Sebastian Vettel, I believe, on his first lap. He'll be leaving at the end of this season in real life. Is yet to be seen if he'll leave in our series, but we'll find that out later on in the season. In the meantime, we do get going on our first lap, and funny enough, we end up with Sergio Perez right behind us yet again, just like from the first practice session. I don't know what it is with these AI. They love to just race you, and when you try to let them go, they just don't get it. But since he's behind us, I'm not too worried about him. So we do kind of continue on with our first lap here. Goes pretty smoothly. Kind of here through the turns 5 and 6 and 7 complex. I think this is turn 8 coming up here. A little wide there. And we switch over to, I believe that's the Haas of Mick Schumacher. So I believe he had a pretty decent lap. Be interesting to see what the Haas cars can do this season, considering their last season. I ended up completing that lap, which I actually backed off on it because, as you can see, I was 2.5 seconds behind Magnussen. Because technically, in the 2022 regulations, going outside of the white line, your lap time does get deleted. So I try to do that, but I won't always.
Okay, we've only got 1 lap of fuel remaining.
I decided to go straight into another lap, which is a bit risky because you could run out of fuel. But I did decide to just go for it since I was already out and I was already losing a lot of time. We do shave a ton of time off on that one, which puts us up into P9, ahead of the GOAT, Nicholas Latifi. What a guy. Absolute king of the sport. Also got the legendary Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo. So nice to see. I think he fits Alfa Romeo pretty well. I don't know why. Maybe it's just not seeing him at Mercedes, but I think he's pretty nice. So, be interesting to see what Alfa Romeo can do in this series. I know in real life they've kind of fallen off the pace, but maybe here they'll keep on it a little bit more. So back in the garage, we're going to take a quick look, I believe, maybe at the leaderboard. Yeah, here's our leaderboard. Charles Leclerc and Verstappen take up the top 2 spots. A few drivers still need to set a time, but as you can see, Aitken and I, we're down there. We're definitely not through with those times. So we're going to have to head back out again. And we do. We throw on a new set of softs, and we go back out for our technically second flying lap.
Okay, just 2 laps of fuel remaining now.
And while we do this one, as you can see, there's really nobody else on track, so hopefully no issues there, but we do need to get a good lap in here because we fell behind quite a bit on the previous run. So man, we do manage to go a little bit wide turn 10, and I am going to show this because, as I mentioned in the previous episode, I do use flashbacks occasionally, and this is an instance where I did decide to use them. I may end up changing that rule. Maybe I'll say in qualifying we're not going to use flashbacks, maybe only during the race, but just thought I'd show that anyway just to kind of prove it. Glad we did use it though, because we end up improving our lap time by just over a second, putting us up into P9, which is pretty sweet. Of course, we've still got the final runs in Q1 to go, and because we're mostly concerned with just getting through to Q2, we do decide to throw on a third set of tires for these last runs, because our goal is really just to get into Q2. Anything beyond that is kind of bonus. So don't actually show the lap because it's pretty much just more of the same. We end up throwing ourselves all the way up into P5, which is crazy actually. The Ferrari, Verstappen, they must have just kept their one lap times, followed by the Mercedes boys, us, and then Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris. Yeah, we definitely we definitely didn't need to use that other set of tires. Although our Aitken is out of Q1. He does beat Gotifi, so he won't be starting from the very back of the grid, but he will not be joining us in Q2. Neither will the Aston Martins. That's pretty disappointing, but not very surprising. I believe here we actually just go and take a quick peek at Piastri's times. Or not Piastri, I'm thinking of something else. I was thinking of somebody else's series. Aitken's times. There they are, yeah. So he actually did not improve. He had a pretty bad second lap. So that was a little disappointing to see from him. He really dropped it in the second sector. But either way, we're through to Q2, and that's what we're going to get straight into here. So on this first run, we do decide to use that third set of tires again. We save the fourth set for the second run. Just, again, throwing it at the wall. Maybe we'll get through. We had a pretty solid lap on this first run, which puts us all the way up into second place. And now you're probably wondering, is the AI set too low? And I will be honest with you, they did do an update to the AI before I recorded this segment of the episode, and I should have had the AI a little bit higher. So that will be fixed for the race, but I couldn't fix it at this point. Once I was in qualifying, it kind of is what it is. But we do end up dropping all the way down to P10, so we got a minute left in the session, and we are here to start our final flying lap on the new set of tires. And we are just going to watch this one go. We're going to see how this lap goes.
Don't get into 10th or higher, we're not going to progress to the shootout. Give it your best shot.
Ooh, unfortunately, we kind of blow it at the last corner. And we are out of qualifying with P13. I would say that's okay given the state of the car and given the AI level I had this set at. Interesting. Oh, Mick Schumacher made it through. He actually beat Magnussen. The two AlphaTauris are out. Daniel Ricciardo's out. Not a great start for him. Interesting to see that in the game. Fernando Alonso also out. That's a bit shocking though. So yeah, an okay qualifying result on RS side. Aitken would have been nice to see him in Q2, but it is what it is. So that's going to be the grid for qualifying. Another quick message from Mark about the weekend, about the race. Don't forget to drink. Make sure you guys don't forget my drink in my car. Anyway, without further ado, here is the race.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. Formula One returns to the desert today on this exceptional 3.36 mile circuit. 15 corners provide plenty of overtaking opportunities, and it could be a strategic race, this one, with Sakhir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some point during the Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Sainz, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Norris, Ocon, Bottas, Mick Schumacher, and Kevin Magnussen, Gasly, the rookie, Yuki Tsunoda, and Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, Russell, they've taken a grid penalty, Alex Albon, and Guan Yu Zhou, Vettel, Stroll, Aitken, and Nicholas Latifi. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as once again we get another year of Formula One underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice, and they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Thanks, Mark. I'll try my best in today's race. First race of the season, though, so things might be a little rocky. Anyway, we go in here to do what Ferrari can't do and try to put together a bit of a strategy for us. Starting on the soft, switching over to the medium. Makes sense. We're going to be doing a 25% race. Don't know if I mentioned that before, but I figured 25% would be a good place to start. Not too long for us to deal with, but enough to kind of give us some content. For some reason, I think it was George Russell took a grid penalty, so we're actually in P12 now. So thank you, I guess. I'm not really sure why we're taking grid penalties for the first race, but I'll take it. I'll take it. So time for the warm-up lap. See, I try to do my best here to actually warm up the tires. Is the last thing I want to do is have cold tires and completely miss turn 1. Here's your pole sitter, Charles Leclerc, with his main rival in the championship, Verstappen, in the background. Sainz, I believe, rings up in third, followed by Perez. Back here to main straight. The new feature here, we get to line up on our own grid slot. Really cool to actually be able to angle our car. Pretty much just line it straight.
Okay, good parking there, mate. Now we need to make sure we get a great launch as the race starts.
We do line up a little bit towards the center. Here's another look at our front runners of the grid. Really setting up that Red Bull Ferrari challenge going into the first race, followed by the Mercedes. So with that, 5 lights are on ahead of the drivers. Lights are out, and the race is on. It's a brilliant start here by us, except we do end up falling a little bit behind Gasly. The front runners, it's a pretty clean getaway. We do try to go for that dive bomb, pretty big dive bomb, and it manages to kind of pay off, actually. We managed to clear a couple cars, a little bit of a warning there. We do end up in P9, clearing Gasly and Bottas, so not a bad start. Could have been much worse, could have been better, could have been a bit cleaner, but we'll take it. And we're around turn 4 now. Pretty much filing single file for the most part. A little bit of competition up in the front, but it's a pretty clean getaway throughout the grid. No spinners or anything like that. Except Gasly is going to try and go around the outside of us at turn 8. Unsuccessful though, we're just able to keep that. But he is going to continue to fight this through to turn 10. No dice though. We do manage to just keep an edge on him. However, on the straights, he's probably going to have a higher speed than us, as we do go almost side by side down this straight. No DRS though, of course, for the first couple of laps, and he just can't pull that off on the inside. We do manage to hold that position through there. We are unfortunately losing time to Magnussen because of this battle, but we do manage to hold P9 for the time being, which is really good. Our teammate, still down there at the bottom, as you can see on the map, probably got overtaken by Latifi. A bit disappointing, but it's understandable considering it's Aiken's first Formula 1 Grand Prix as well. So yeah, we do manage to actually hold our first lap in a higher position.
You're in the top 10.
Pretty good, maybe some points, but it's pretty early to tell, so let's not get too hyped for that. As we go into turn 1 way too deep. Way too deep. It's honestly a miracle almost, the fact that I didn't let Gasly or Bottas by, or both of them, frankly. But unfortunately, we are losing quite a bit of time to Magnussen, as we do skip ahead here to the end of the second lap.
Okay, DRS will be enabled this lap. You can use it when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Perfect, that's just what I wanted to hear, DRS being enabled. As we go a little bit deep still into turn 1, do have some trouble. Verstappen, though, is into the lead. He's already overtaken Leclerc. So it is a Red Bull, Ferrari podium right now, with Perez just behind. So we go deep again on lap 4 to turn 1. Man, I don't know what I was doing going into turn 1 in this race, but I was just not having a good time with it. As we can see, the tires already taking a decent amount of wear. But we have held Gasly somehow to this point. We are definitely starting to be a bit of a roadblock, causing a bit of a train behind us. But the fact that we're holding the position is, I guess that's kind of good. Actually, you know what? It looks like something happened to Latifi at some point, because I believe that's his dot just going around turn 1 there on the mini-map, sector 1. Wonder what happened to him. Anyways, we do look ahead here. The Red Bulls and the Ferraris, they're pulling out pretty far in front of the Mercedes.
Careful. We think you're going to start losing some tyre grip anytime now.
Oh yeah, that's for sure, Mark. As we're going into turn 1 again here, lap 5, we do a little bit better this time, but man, we're just having some issues at this corner. I don't know exactly what it was.
Time to the car behind.
But Gasly's got DRS, and
Green flag.
we do get a green flag for someone. And oh, it's Zhou Guanyu. Has a bit of a spin there on turn 1. He must have clipped the curb or something like that, maybe just got on the throttle a little too fast. But I believe that is what the yellow flag is for. Let's see. Oh yeah, he just lit up the rears a little bit and just spun around the corner. He's lucky he didn't hit anyone, although a safety car might have been good for us there. But anyway, the track is now green, and we are back in racing conditions. Managed to hold Gasly through 4.5 laps. Not too bad, but again, we are still losing ground to Magnussen. At some point, we'll have to pit. Probably going to be the next lap. That would be, I think, our strategy, either lap 6 or 7. We do start to see some cars coming in.
Box this lap and push hard on the in-lap.
Team is calling us in for lap 7. So that actually puts us all the way up to P4 temporarily. Still with Gasly behind us. He doesn't decide to pit. But he does come up quickly alongside us. He goes down the inside at turn 11. And we do try to fight this one back. And then, oh, Ricardo just punts us He just comes up the inside and bam, we are gone. That was crazy. Here's a replay of it to see whether what he did was warranted, and we kind of cut the corner a little bit, but we did also come over on him. Might have been a racing incident on that one. Pretty hard to tell. Let's take a look at Ricardo's perspective. Yeah, he did have his front wheel in front of our back wheel, but yeah, he kind of put his nose into a place where it shouldn't be. But unfortunately, that does cost us a lot of time. We do drop positions. Now we actually go into the final corners here, fighting with Latifi, of all people, who was already fighting at one point with our teammate. We do manage to keep him ahead for the time being, but he's got DRS coming down the main straight. We are going to do an old school drag race down to the turn 1.
Okay, you've taken damage to the side pods. Expect to feel a little bit more drag than normal.
As we hear about damage from our engineer, and we go way too deep again into turn 1, but somehow we managed to keep Latifi in the background, which is honestly insane, but we are quickly being followed up by him, and he's going to go down the inside into turn 4 with DRS, which we have nothing to defend from, and a little bit of bumping and shoving there as we go side through turns 5, 6, and 7. But unfortunately, going in here to turn 8, he is going to have the inside line, and that is going to be that for that battle. And unfortunately, behind us, we actually have our teammate right there, and we have a bit of a cluster going on actually between us with the two Red Bulls, or two Ferraris and a Red Bull, and they're probably trying to get past us, and we are just absolutely holding them up here in this middle part of the race as we go wide into turn 10, and we have to give up positions to Leclerc and Aitken, with Sainz and Perez also quickly coming up on fresh mediums, so there's not a whole lot we can do to defend from them. We do go wide, kind of give them space. Maybe they'll take it. They actually didn't. Oh, no, never mind. There goes Sainz. And Perez should be following pretty fast. Even Hamilton is actually coming up behind us pretty fast as well as we head into the last main straight.
Okay, we lost the position. Trying to keep focus.
Unfortunately, this race is quickly falling apart here, but we do manage to hold at least P11. And we still need to pit, but we actually don't. We actually keep going on the softs, which is
The side pods have taken damage. Keep an eye on your engine temperatures. Cooling may be adversely affected.
which was totally a mistake. At this point, we are way outside of what our tire range should be, given the scaling and the fact that, you know, we're switching to mediums, which are better than softs anyway. Yeah, we should have pit at least 1 lap, maybe 2 laps ago, but either way, we do come in on lap 8. In 11th, not looking so good for Great Lakes Racing here, but maybe we can at least have a good pit stop.
That was a fantastic stop. Faster than we were expecting.
Okay, well, we do at least have that. We have that one thing going for us. Just one. Just one. We are now in P22, but we did have a 2.3 second stop, so we can at least be proud of that. Not a whole lot to be proud of, but it is what it is, and we do end up heading out, and this is actually our teammate fighting with Zhou Guanyu, who managed to get past him. For some reason, Aitken is on the hard tire. Why? He switched, I think, on the lap before me. I think that was lap 7 or 8. I don't remember, and he switched onto the hard tire. Why? Maybe we are actually the Ferrari strategists. Who hired them? Anyway, as you can see, we're now 8 seconds now.
Okay, we've only got 1 lap of fuel remaining.
Now 10 seconds behind Aitken on the last lap. Honestly, not a whole lot we could do. Our race was kind of ruined between losing to Ricardo in that one battle, and then our teammate switching to the hards. That didn't help, but that didn't really affect us. We pit way too late, so we really didn't get to use the mediums. We overused the softs. And it's going to be a 21-22 finish for Great Lakes Racing today. Not a great result for the team, obviously. We do decide to do a little weaving. I don't know why, just for fun.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
But on the bright side, there's nowhere to go but up. So that is going to be P22.
What has happened? We need to know as we see Lance Stroll.
Stroll, of course, he is our driver of the day,
Red Bull
naturally.
pulling out all the stops today. What a great win. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
You also need to have a good strategy department. Ferrari.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here.
Yeah, so there's your podium, and there's your championship battle. Verstappen, Leclerc, and Sainz on the top three. So it wasn't quite like it happened in real life. It wasn't a Ferrari 1-2, but it was a Ferrari 2-3, which, given the state of things, I think they would take that. So anyway, Verstappen is your race winner in the desert tonight.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for Driver of the Day?
Well, Lance Stroll would be
What
my
has
pick. He
happened?
managed to keep a cool head today whilst pushing through the field.
Let's move on to the Constructors, and Red Bull take over as championship leaders. Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Yeah, so there you go. That is the race. There's your full results. Perez in 4th, followed by the Brits in P5 and 6. Esteban Ocon, Kevin Magnussen finishing P8 for Haas. That's very good. Bottas P9. Tsunoda up into the points for P10. Mick Schumacher did drop down out of the points, followed by Pierre Gasly, Russell, Alonso, not making up much ground. Albon, Ricciardo, the 2 Aston Martins, Latifi, and Zhou Guanyu rounding out the top 20, followed by Great Lakes Racing in P21 and 22. So an interesting result, to say the least. Not the one we would have wanted, but like I said, it does give us the opportunity to improve going into the next race, which should be... I actually don't remember. I don't remember what the second race is supposed to be, as we have another look at the start here. Yeah, it's yeah, we go to Jeddah. Oh yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be an interesting one. Very, very deadly race, but yeah, we really... The start, yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. Imagine if we'd actually managed to hold that P9. That would have been really nice to get points on our first episode, but it was not meant to be. Yeah, Aitken lost out to Latifi, I guess, pretty fast there. But anyways, here we're going to actually look at the restart, or the race start from Verstappen's perspective. As we can see, he actually had the inside line and took Leclerc going into turn 1. And it seems like it was pretty much over from that point. It was pretty smooth sailing, I think. And there's us crossing the line in P22. I think it'll be interesting to see who our main competitor ends up being, but right now, given that we're at the back, it's everybody. I expect we'll probably be fighting a lot with Aston Martin for the time being, maybe a bit of AlphaTauri since they're a little bit on the lower end. Possibly McLaren, although they might be higher up, maybe Ricciardo at least. But anyway, a quick look at our Team Acclaim. We do level up to level 2 and bring in a little bit of money. Ah, yes, I love damage deductions. My favorite part of the weekend. So anyway, of course, we get a couple non-completions in our R&D department as well. So great way to finish out the episode. Anyways, that's going to do it. The Bahrain Grand Prix. I'm looking forward to getting back at this for the Jeddah race. And that will be the next episode. Yeah, hopefully in the next race, we'll kind of start to have things more balanced out. Maybe just a little bit more together with everything. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. This is JoePickle14 signing out. And remember, everybody, play F1, I guess, and eat bacon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.